We all want a great short game. It keeps us in every single round. You might be a little bit off with your irons and miss some greens, but if you can get the ball up and down, you can get a good score. So you have to understand the importance of short game. And by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. The easiest way to improve your short game is to get steeper on the angle of attack with the golf club. When we start getting inconsistencies in how we're delivering the golf club to the ball, we're going to get inconsistencies in the launch angle. We're going to get inconsistencies in the carry, the spin rate, the ultimate rollout of the shot. And there's going to be no predictability. You might hit this fat, you might hit this thin. It might start to the right or start to the left. You got to get steeper. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's a shot that's going to have some steepness to it. Now, what you're going to see with that shot is that that golf ball goes about the distance that I want it to go. And when we come over here and we look at this, what you're going to see is the angle of attack of that golf club is about 16 degrees down. Now, 16 degrees down is fine. All I want when I'm hitting these shots is double digits. I want a double-digit angle of attack, okay? And when I get that, typically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the low point of the swing in front of that golf ball. And when I get that, I'm going to get strikes on the face that are a little low on the face, and I'm going to get some predictability with spin. Now, watch what happens here. That one there spun at about 2,500. It launched at about 14.5 degrees. Now, this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the club. Remember, we were 15 and change in the angle of attack. I'm going to take this club and I'm going to shallow this, okay? So I'm going to have this come a little bit from the inside, and I'm going to shallow this angle of attack. And now, what you first notice about that shot, and that's not a bad outcome, but what you notice about that shot is that it started out to the right. In fact, it started 3.5 degrees to the right. It also launched at 24.5 degrees. Spin rate came down to 2,200. Now, come over here and look at what happened with this. So I swung that in to out 6.5 degrees. It was actually 4.5 degrees in its angle of attack. So it was over a 10-degree difference in the angle of attack. And what ended up happening was that ball carried on a 25-yard shot. It carried about halfway, okay? Now, this one I'm going to shallow out again, and what we're going to see how our spin rate is going to change. So this one, shallow it out. And that one there, I flew a little bit longer. And that one there, the spin rate, now the spin rate went up to 28.88. It launched at 21 degrees. So if it launched a little bit lower with a little less spin, it's going to roll out a little bit more. That one there landed at 13.4, rolled out to 28. Now come on in here. The angle of attack on that one was pretty close, not exactly the same. The other one was 4 point. This is 6 point. So a 2-degree difference, a slightly different face delivery, and a completely different result in that shot. But when I start to get this club to now have steep, now all of a sudden I'm going to strike the ball first. I'm not stabbing that into the ground, but I'm definitely digging down into that. And all of a sudden what you see happens is this. One, my vertical launch comes down to 14. My backspin goes up to about 3,000. I get the rollout that I want because of the launch angle. And now we come over here, and my angle of attack is up to 11.6. Now, with the one that had a 2-degree difference on the level, it rolled out a whole lot more. The second one rolled out a whole lot more with 2-degree difference. This one here had about a 4-degree difference in the angle of attack, so twice as much. And yet I got a very similar outcome. It launched about the same number. It landed at about the same number, 9 degrees, and rolled out, or 9 yards, and then rolled out to about 25. So how do we teach ourselves how to steepen this angle of attack? Well, I've gotten a little creative. You know, we get a lot of stuff here at the house, so I just took one of these things and I created a little ramp. And what I want to do is I want to get this feeling that the golf club is going to go above the ramp and down the ramp. So I kind of drive that down. Now, that one there, so just look at this because this is really fun. So that one there with a little steeper angle of attack, I got that ball to launch at about 12 degrees. So the other one was what, I think like 13, 14. The other one was 2,800, 2,900. This is 2,900. So spin rates are pretty close. Ball lands at 8, rolls out to 25. Predictable. Now come over here. And here you go. So the one just prior to that was 11.6. I think the one prior to that was steep was 15 and change. This is 15.1. But I got predictability. I got a similar result. And the reason why is that when you're steep like this, you're going to deliver a fairly similar loft in the club. You can't get steep and flip. It just doesn't happen. Most times you flip because you're shallow. So when you get here like this and the club is coming up, it drives down. And now when you drive down, and this one I drove down even more. This one drove down, this one carried 6. I drove down more. I didn't even get a double-digit launch there. It drove down 6, and it rolled out to almost 25. Spin rate came down to 27.75. But look at the angle of attack. Watch how steep this one is. This is 23 degrees. 23 degrees. It was 11. It was 15.1. It was 15.8 or whatever. 23 degrees. That's a whole lot different. And yet, that's pretty similar. I wanted 25. I got 22.5. So I got, what, about a 7-8 foot putt? All you have to do is build yourself a little ramp. And when you get that ramp, what you're going to get the feeling of is the club is going to go up in the air right away and down on the ball. You're pinching that against the ground right there. And when you pinch it against the ground, look at that. Another very predictable another very good outcome. That one there carried 8, rolled out to 26, launched it at 10.5, spun at 3,100. So a lot of different numbers there. And when we come over here, we're going to get another different number. This time, this one's 18.6. So you can see the inconsistencies in it. 11, 23, 18, 15. A lot of inconsistencies in that delivery. And yet, the golf ball continues to go relatively similar in its distance and predictable in its distance. Spin rates are somewhat similar. 2,900, 3,000, 3,100. Like those are very, very similar numbers and very predictable. You can rely on that. So what I like you to do is figure out what you have to do. I don't want you to feel like you're stabbing this ball, but I want you to feel like this club is going to go up and down. I want steeper up and down. So up and down. And when you go up and down, don't you love it? Now check this out. So this one there, 25.5 on a 25-yard shot. It carried 17. It launched at 13. The spin rate was at 2,800. So it's a little bit of a different, but still similar distance. Now come over here and let's see what our angle of attack is. Oh, I didn't quite get the steepness in there, 9.1. I'm looking for double digits. So not exactly what I wanted, but very, very close. And when you get close like this and you get close like that, you're going to get close like that. You're going to hit them close. So what I want you to do is I want you to get yourself a little ramp. Now, I will tell you something else that you can use. You can use a book. You get a hardback book that you don't read anymore. And you open that thing up, fan it open, and all of a sudden those pages are going to pull back and you're going to have a little bit of a ramp. And when you start to use that book, you start to improve your short game. You start to get a little bit steeper. You'll start to get a little bit of dependability and reliability in your short shots. To improve all parts of your game, subscribe to my channel and click the link below.